Right on time, thank you. George, take it over.
Right. It's interesting, if I use the Berlin example, that the rules actually apply to both existing buildings and new buildings, because one of the challenges always is this topic focus on is existing stock. Just want perhaps we ask one of our panelists in the audience, Mr. Paul Cass, to talk about what you have seen across different countries, different cities as an international architect firm. What are the successful experience in cities where they have introduced this at, in the initial stage, whether they grandfather the existing buildings or they push ahead and just make sure that people catch up as quickly as possible?
Thank you very much. And it was very interesting hearing the three approaches. I think at the beginning on the presentation from Milan, the goal of objective of what our discussions are about is reaching zero carbon cities. And the question, hearing the presentations afterwards, I was thinking is that if we just focus on specific buildings, rather than considering the planning of cities, that we won't probably achieve that initial goal that of achieving a zero carbon city, as much as the good intentions are, and I can appreciate the initial savings and substantial gains. And one of the things that strikes me of the projects that I see that are most successful, and I was curious to know how legislature was going in different cities in the world, are the concept of mixed-use cities, because most of our existing cities were designed in the 20th century, and most of the existing building stock was designed on zoning principles that were developed in a sort of a different industrial age and a different economic paradigm. And as we move forward, and we've seen all these advances, it's with some of the things you're talking about, it is possible to mix uses rather than divide buildings into residential, commercial, and public buildings, because the most successful examples I've seen in the projects we've been involved in, particularly in Japan, have clustered these uses together and reorganized, if you will, the uses of existing buildings. And I would see that is something that I'd encourage you, and you might already be thinking along those lines. I'd be curious to know if you were looking at a sort of rezoning of the existing cities, rather than just looking at specific buildings individually.
And in taking on this point, just wonder if we also add on the other element, the policy-making element, whether city government actually have been helpful in making sure that this actually works.
The question was very good, and I think that really the mixed use is the goal. What has been done about the zoning is typically following the American model of having commercial far away, and then you have to drive. And this is, I'm wondering, in LA, you can bike. How can you bike to go from your house to a commercial center and bring back all the things? So that's a clear difficulty. You can have a bike in city if you have all the possibilities of getting in touch with a mixed-use city. So this is something politics and energetic together. So I think this has been should be taken in consideration. But what can we do? I think also is about policies, is to think how, because he has shown very interesting examples. Normally states and Germany did a lot of effort by state to renew this. Otherwise, they would have other costs later. What you can do by private is that if you think now a typical mixed-use city is Hong Kong, okay? You are living in a mixed-use city full of mixed functions. But what you're facing now is the financial problems. For example, you don't know where to put money, because money you have, but you don't know where to invest them because it's too risky. And whether you put them in gold or you don't have so many shares. Now, many friends in Hong Kong tell me that. So the question is, can you put in financing energy? I think yes. In Europe, we have the ISCO company, energy saving company. They, together with banks, together with developers, they go approaching privates, even if they are private, they are not, from different old lady, a young man, etc. They don't have the money for renew the building. You tell them, okay, we renew it, and for 15 years, we gain on the energy saving of this building. And this is possible. So it's much better to put the money in energy and sun than in Lehman Brothers.
Maybe starting with Lehman Brothers. To your question or to your remark, I'm with you. And if I had the possibility to do a real good plan, I would go ahead like you mentioned. But in the existing world, you have the Lehman Brothers. And you have low-income tenants. And talk to these people that you want to have a very good insulation and you want to have a mix between a mall or between a residential area or something else. Maybe they understand what you want to tell them. I guess they do not. So we have to go this way, of course, on the long run. But what I would like to present to you is that there are some options we have to take between. So, for example, we are thinking about, of course, about bringing more and more renewables into the systems and the energy supply and the electricity grid. But you have an existing grid, this is the same. So if you want to bring a lot of wind, which is coming from the Baltic Sea or the Northern Sea, you have to be aware that the transmission is not there for this new system. We are working on that, of course, but if you want to bring a new transmission system into Germany, you have to convince every small village that there will be a new transition there. So you're right, but I think we have to find a good way to convince people to take them with us, to bring it into good political decisions. And in Germany, I know that every 4 years there are elections. And you have a very, very short time to get a real good decision between these 4 years.
Speaking about energy is risky, Obama knows.
The impression that we have as an outsider is that in Moscow, the government probably would have a bit more influence. Does that help?
As someone of you may know, recently you have a new mayor in Moscow. This is one of the reasons why I'm here. So, what we do in Moscow in this situation, we try to find some peace between networks, energy suppliers, and local energy producing equipment, and we try to find some technical solutions, some political decisions to let the owners of the house or other committees who rules the building to place the new energy efficient equipment inside the house and to take some energy from some new sources, from ground, from air, from everywhere, and not to become in contradiction with traditional suppliers which use traditional nets. So this approach requires governmental regulations, and we hope that we will achieve some I don't know, good results.
We have Tim Lancaster at Carbon Trust in the audience. Tim is based in Beijing. Perhaps if I can ask Tim to make some comments about the experience in China. Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, I think my perspective as a foreigner in China, so I have a certain distance there, is China is doing brilliantly on renewables, really brilliantly. Clear direction from government, lots of success, lots of progress of the sort that a government like the Chinese government with the sort of power that they've got can easily make, because they don't have the not in my backyard issues, which plague governments like ours back in the UK. I think energy efficiency is much harder, much harder in China at the moment. Yes, you can do things with public buildings, but trying to get businesses in China to the point where they see energy efficient, creating an energy efficient building or doing energy efficient projects as a way in which they can actually save money, increase profits, make more sales. That's going to take a while to establish. One thing I'd like to say, particularly in this refurbishment thing, is this is a kind of gift for everyone. It's a low-carbon gift. You download it yourself. But we did a study in the UK with a number of businesses trying to do low-carbon refurbishments. And the thing that we found over that study was actually most of those refurbishment projects started out with grand expectations and resulted in higher energy use afterwards. And the gift in this is we've isolated 24 obstacles that are pitfalls that I would hope others can avoid through having a look at that. So that should have been uploaded to the conference website. It's certainly available on carbontrust.co.uk, freely available. Do look at this when you're thinking about policy, because we all want to do refurbishment. We all want business to want to do it and to be successful in doing it. But actually it's hard, and there are a number of things to watch out for. Thank you.